My name is Melissa Wan, and I'm going to read from a short story, a complete story written during COVID called Joseph When It's 3 a.m. and I Still Can't Sleep. In San Francisco, everyone wants to be rich. Even we just want to be rich. Joseph was growing out his beard, like I always said he should. I'll look old was his counter-argument. And I'd said, what's so wrong with old? I guess now I had to ask myself what was so wrong with rich, if that's what he wanted. Instead I said, and where will rich get the planet, Joseph? But the line was bad, or he pretended he couldn't hear me. I was otherwise preoccupied with his beard, parts of which flashed silver on screen, and how it had become a treasure my body ached to find. The world was in crisis, so people could no longer go out and make money. Now people could no longer go out to make money, the world was in crisis. Where was Marx when you needed him? Locked in libraries across the country. People complained it was getting harder to rouse them from where they'd slumped. Emails arrived daily, sometimes hourly, into inboxes. Instruction manuals for how to stay motivated, chain letters, invitations to streamed talks or joint dancing or joint cooking or joint watching TV. The truth was I did not want to be motivated towards anything, and I still did not want to do anything with anyone. This morning I unlocked the hopper and poured in fresh coffee beans. I steamed very good oat milk and planned to make my own when I found the time. Find the time, said Joseph. What are you doing with it now? I don't know, what was I ever doing with it? He ran his fingers through the hair at his chin, and we sat together for a moment. Then he mentioned the German. Jenny's not too crazy about pasta these days, he said. Something about carbs. He was never much of a cook when I was around, but he tells me that she's made him up his game in favour of equality. This was the way they had phrased it. I said, give me pasta any day. And remember what I told you about your new machine, I said. Always clean it with a soft, damp cotton cloth. Yes, mother, he smiled. I was not his mother, but what could I say? I found it difficult to let this man go, almost as though he had been a son, and every morning I woke and felt his blood pump through my veins until I couldn't help but think, where's Joseph? Once in a while I found his earlobe pinched, very delicately, between my fingers. But for the most part, I'd loosened my grip. After all, he was with the German now. We were all friends. This was the modern world. Sleep had built a window between us, the 8 hours between San Francisco and Manchester. This window was a screen on which, in the supreme privacy of night, I could always find him on one side and he me on the other. And so I've been asked also to answer a question from one of my fellow writers involved in Alone Together. This is a question from Philip Graham, who's a writer in the US. He says, your short fiction recounting a middle-of-the-night, long-distance video conversation feels like a standalone work, but I can also imagine it as part of a continuing series of short fictions, the intimate conversations of a number of characters, which have to unfold on screens because of the COVID crisis. Is this a larger project you're working on or might want to? Thanks very much for the question, Philip. And I think that it's probably, you've given me a very good idea that I might never actually carry out, because I've never done a longer project, and I'm not entirely sure what a longer project would look like that I would like to do. I certainly didn't intend to write actually about the COVID crisis. It's one of those things that I'm not sure can be written about directly. And so it kind of just came through in this short piece, which was written for, it was actually written for Tanya Hirschman's 5-day flash fiction course that she did for Avon. And it was based on a series of kind of prompts, and you were encouraged to write to those prompts and within a certain number of words. And this is what came out. And I enjoy these kinds of pieces, even though, you know, I don't know what's going to come out onto the page. And part of what I love about it is the surprise. And I've just bought the collected stories of Diane Williams, and I'm trying to understand the ways in which those stories work, you know, their kind of particular logic. And I'm also trying to understand, as a writer, when not saying something is good recalcitrance, and when not saying it is bad recalcitrance. And it's one of those things that I'm constantly getting wrong and constantly having to play with. But that's something that these shorter pieces kind of present me with. And it might be that, you know, in the end I end up writing lots of these short pieces which all come together into a collection, but we shall see. Thank you also to the Elizabeth Kostova Foundation as well for organising these little conversations. It's been a real privilege to take part. That's it, you can switch it off now. Oh, sorry.